Remember to like the video, share your thoughts below, and subscribe to keep up with our latest stories. On a Thursday evening, the air was thick with the scent of lilacs and fresh-cut grass, as if time itself paused, allowing a moment to breathe deeply and feel alive. In the kitchen, apron tied, I hummed a familiar tune from the radio, stirring a pot filled with my husband's beloved stew. Just another dinner night at home, in our cozy, worn house in the suburbs, where the familiar warmth wraps around us like a comforting embrace. Richard sat in the living room, his voice a roller coaster of frustration and joy as he watched the game unfold. It was one of those days wrapped in comfort, the kind that slips by unnoticed, yet leaves a haunting emptiness when it fades away. Suddenly, the doorbell pierced the silence. I wiped my hands on the apron, my gaze locking onto Richard. "Did you anticipate a visitor?" His brow furrowed as he silenced the TV. "No, I wasn't." I approached the front door, heart racing, and swung it open to reveal a tall man in his early 60s, his sheepish smile both inviting and unsettling. He donned a worn leather jacket, gripping a bottle of red wine in one hand, while the other clutched a small duffel bag tightly. His hair was largely gray, yet a spark of youthful mischief lingered in his expression. "Hey, Mike," he said, a warm grin spreading across his face. "It's been a while." Richard's face ignited with recognition as he approached. "Absolutely not, Jack. Jack Stanton," he chuckled softly, stepping in for a hug, the moment electric and unforgettable. Jack was Richard's old college friend, his best man at our wedding, a bond forged in laughter and memories. It had been over 2 decades since our paths last crossed. Last I heard, he had relocated to Oregon, launched a business, gone through a divorce, and then faded away from our lives. Richard slapped him on the back, the familiar bond igniting once more. "What are you doing here, man?" Jack shrugged, a smile flickering across his face. "I happened to be nearby, so I thought I'd drop in. I realize this comes out of nowhere. I hope this isn't too much to ask." "Absolutely not," I replied, my smile inviting and warm. "You've arrived just as the meal is about to begin. I overdid it, after all." Jack entered, absorbing the house as if it were a long-forgotten memory, stirring emotions he thought were buried. Yet, beneath his humor and charm, a subtle heaviness lingered. A weary shadow hung in his gaze. "I haven't asked, not just yet." We gathered at the old oak dining table, laughter and conversation flowing between the three of us, as if the years had vanished. Jack spun wild tales from our college days, some familiar, others new, as we sipped wine, feeling as if we were back in our 30s once more. Yet something felt off. Jack's gaze lingered on me, more than I anticipated. It wasn't inappropriate. Rather, it held a gentle softness, a deep curiosity that stirred something within. Initially, I dismissed it as mere nostalgia. We had always shared a bond, even in those days. Yet, there was something in his gaze that held me captive, making me feel truly seen, as if he wasn't merely recalling the woman I once was, but recognizing the person I had become. After dinner, Richard stepped away, his phone call with one of his brothers stretching into the night. Jack and I sat in the living room, the lamp's glow stretching shadows across the hardwood floor, enveloping us in a quiet tension. I filled our glasses with another round of wine. "You know," Jack said, swirling his glass gently, "you haven't changed at all." I chuckled quietly. "Your vision needs attention. Each morning the mirror reveals a truth I cannot escape." "I don't mean your face," he said. "I mean the way you make me feel when you're here. The light within you still shines bright." His voice held a quiet sincerity that pierced through the silence. I was at a loss for words. Heat surged in my chest, ignited not by the wine, but by the intensity of his words, raw, transparent, and deeply exposed. "I'm so relieved you showed up," I finally admitted. "Time has stretched endlessly." "Absolutely, it's excessive." There was a pause, one that could have been awkward, but with Jack it felt charged, alive. An unspoken tension lingered between us, heavy and expectant. "I needed this," he said, his voice heavy with unspoken weight. Truthfully, I wasn't merely passing through. This was my plan all along. I felt adrift, and I hoped that returning to something I know might bring me solace. I studied him intently then. The fatigue in his eyes ran deeper than mere travel. It was life, the kind that etches itself into your very being after enduring countless storms. "You're always welcome here, Jack," I whispered softly. He gazed at me, his eyes deepening with warmth. "Thanks. It holds a significance beyond your understanding." Richard stepped back into the room, and just like that, the moment slipped away. Yet a change had occurred. I truly felt it. A hidden force pulsed beneath it all, and I was lost in its direction. Yet deep down I was aware of this truth. That night everything changed. Not an affair, not a betrayal, but a raw human reconnection. A mirror reflecting the hidden parts of my soul, long forgotten. As I lay in bed next to my sleeping husband, my thoughts drifted to Jack's eyes, and I couldn't shake the question of what he truly saw in me. The following morning held an eerie stillness. Richard had departed at dawn to assist his cousin with a roofing task, leaving Jack and me in the house, alone and vulnerable. It wasn't supposed to unfold like this. Honestly, it didn't even cross my mind when Richard brought it up the night before. As I stepped into the kitchen, Jack sat at the table, a cup of coffee in hand, his wrinkled shirt from yesterday a stark reminder. It hit me hard, unexpected and raw. "Morning," he said, his smile warm and inviting. "Morning," I replied, clutching my robe closer. "Did you sleep well?" He nodded. "Better than I have in weeks." "Your couch is surprisingly comfortable," I said, a soft laugh escaping my lips. That couch holds secrets beyond imagination. It saved more than a few souls seeking solace. A heavy silence settled as I poured my coffee. The stillness of the house enveloped me. No TV, no Richard. Just the soft hum of the refrigerator and the gentle clink of ceramic mugs. Jack peered out the window. It felt just as serene as he recalled. Yet, beneath that calm surface, everything had shifted. I took a sip. That's how life feels in your 50s. Familiar yet unsettling. He met my eyes, his gaze holding a quiet intensity that pierced through me. "Do you ever reflect on how we ended up here? The paths we chose or missed?" I pressed my back against the counter. "Sometimes. But just enough. That road can get a little heavy." Jack nodded slowly, his eyes reflecting a deep understanding. After breakfast, we found ourselves walking, lost in thought. I had to rush to the market, and Jack insisted on joining me. The sun shone brightly yet softly as it wove through the trees, carrying the promise of summer in its late morning embrace. We chose the winding route through the park, skirting the pond and the ancient oak trees, each step heavy with memories. It was serene, almost suffocatingly so, leaving no room for idle chatter. "I almost called you once," Jack said as we settled onto the bench. "Years ago, right after my divorce. I dialed the number, heart racing, but then I hung up." "Why didn't you call?" I asked, my heart racing with anticipation. He shrugged, a flicker of uncertainty in his eyes. "I guess I didn't know what I was looking for, and I didn't want to complicate things." "Complicated?" I turned to face him, my heart racing. "Jack, I'm not someone you need to shield from your chaos. We all carry our burdens." He let out a soft chuckle. "I understand. You were my guiding light, always shining bright. Even in our youth, your warmth and kindness shone brightly. It sparked a yearning within me to become a better version of myself." His voice trembled slightly as he spoke, and it took me by surprise. I was at a loss for words. A part of me longed to reach out, to offer solace like you would to a dear friend in pain. Yet a buried part of me stirred, yearning to embrace the connection blossoming between us. I reached out, my fingers brushing against his hand for a fleeting moment. It was pure instinct, not a conscious choice. He looked at me as if that small gesture held the weight of the world. "Jack," I said softly, "you don't have to bear this alone." He met my gaze, lingering for a heartbeat. "Neither do you." Those words lingered. We walked back in silence, our hands grazing briefly unacknowledged. At the house I prepared lunch, and we feigned normalcy, laughter and stories masking the weight of the morning. When Richard came home that afternoon, Jack effortlessly reverted to his old buddy persona. He was boisterous, full of laughter, making jabs about the football team and teasing Richard about his receding hairline. Felt effortless once more. On the outside, yet beneath the calm exterior, a change had taken root. That night, after Jack settled into bed, I found myself back on the couch, the extra pillow I had left for him a silent reminder. As I stood at the sink scrubbing the final dishes, a weight pressed down on me. Richard was already asleep, worn out from the day. The window above the sink stood ajar, allowing the cool night air to seep in. I felt the gentle breeze caress my skin and closed my eyes, savoring the moment. All I could focus on was the way Jack had gazed at me, not as a relic of the past, but as someone he still yearned to comprehend. It wasn't love, not yet. It wasn't romance, but it was something deeper, something that stirred the soul, authentic, heartfelt, surprising. It left me questioning what other emotions had slipped away from me over time. The following day weighed down on me, the air in the house thick with unspoken words. Jack lingered for breakfast once more. He was polite, helpful, even charming, just as he always was. Yet, beneath it all there was a stillness, a palpable distance that lingered in the air. He was holding back, a secret simmering beneath the surface. I felt it too, the weight of unspoken words. Richard dashed off for a golf game with Paul, leaving right after breakfast. He pressed his lips to my cheek and waved to Jack, vowing to return by dinner. In an instant, we were left alone once more. Jack stepped forward, offering to help me tidy up. In the kitchen, we moved like shadows, loading the dishwasher, wiping the counters, masking the tension simmering just below the surface. "I should probably head out today," he finally said, drying his hands. "I've already imposed long enough." I turned to face him. "You're not imposing, Jack." He offered a half smile, but it never touched his eyes. Yet I hesitate to linger. I pressed against the counter, watching him intently. "Are you leaving out of desire? Or is it fear of remaining that drives you?" His silence spoke volumes. He locked eyes with me, and in that fleeting instant, everything felt bare, unguarded, and true. "I don't want to cause trouble," he finally admitted. "You haven't," I replied. "Not yet." He chuckled quietly. That single word holds so much meaning. I should have turned back. I should have shifted the conversation, let it fade. Yet a voice within me, long ignored, relentlessly urged me forward. "You're not alone in your feelings." I spoke softly, confusion swirling within me. "I can't grasp what this is or what it signifies, but I feel it too." He moved closer, deliberately, as if he awaited my command to halt. I didn't. "I can't shake the thought of how different everything might have been," he murmured. "If I had chosen differently, if I had spoken up long ago." "And what would you have said?" I inquired. He hesitated, then breathed, "That I always had feelings for you, even when it was wrong." The words plunged into silence, rippling through the stillness. The room was suffocatingly quiet. Only the relentless ticking of the old wall clock broke the tension, each tick resonating like a heartbeat. Then he reached out. His hand grazed mine. It was merely a touch, yet it ignited something deep within. Nothing else mattered. I stayed, surrendering to the moment. I let it linger between us, a question we dared not voice. "I don't want to hurt Richard," I whispered, my voice quaking just enough to betray my fear. "Neither do I," he replied. We lingered there, suspended in a fragile moment, torn between right and wrong, past and present, memory and longing. Yet we chose not to move forward. We held our ground. Jack pulled away. "You're a good woman," he said, his voice strained, "more than I deserve to be close to at this moment." He snatched his coat, tossing it over his shoulder. "I'll pack up," he murmured, his gaze avoiding mine. "I'll be gone before Richard arrives." I didn't intervene. I just stood there, heart racing, eyes burning, questioning how something could be so complete, yet so hollow simultaneously. An hour later, the front door clicked shut. Jack was gone. Richard returned, whistling, setting his golf bag down by the door, unaware of the silence that lingered. Did Jack leave? I nodded, my back still turned as I stirred the stew. Yeah, he said he had to go. He left a note. Richard approached, pressing a gentle kiss to my temple, his arm wrapping around my waist. He's always been a good guy. I smiled through the pain and leaned closer. Yes, I whispered. He truly is. In the silence that enveloped me, a profound change stirred within. It wasn't guilt. It wasn't regret. A sudden jarring realization hit me. I had lost pieces of myself. I had forgotten the warmth of being seen, the comfort of being understood, to sense a spark within that transcended the mundane, a true connection. I was lost, unsure of how to navigate this new feeling. Not yet. Days turned into weeks. Silence lingered. Jack vanished without a trace, yet I stayed silent. Life resumed its familiar beat. Soft morning meals, the evening news with Richard, calls from the kids, folding laundry, nurturing the plants. The ordinary can seem soothing at first glance, yet it reveals a haunting emptiness when you tune into your own mind. But something had shifted. Not in my marriage. Richard remained unchanged. Steadfast, compassionate, a man who had shared decades of my life, crafted our existence from nothing, and weathered our toughest times with dignity. I loved him. That was never in doubt. Yet, loving someone and truly feeling alive with them often diverged. I had never allowed myself to face this truth until Jack re-entered our lives for that brief moment. He didn't seduce me. He didn't even attempt to. He looked at me, truly looked, and brought back a part of myself I had lost without realizing it. That moment lingered. One evening, a month after Jack's departure, I found myself alone on the back porch, wrapped in a sweater, cradling a warm cup of tea. The garden lay still, the moon's glow weaving shadows through the grass. Inside, Richard sat absorbed in a documentary, the windows behind me spilling warm yellow light into the night. In the kitchen, a moment lingered. Tension hung thick, and the air crackled with unspoken words. The way Jack uttered my name, it carried weight. It transcended mere attraction. It was a moment of true recognition. That moment revealed a truth I never knew I sought. In that reflection, I glimpsed a woman still capable of yearning, of awe, for being moved. I felt no shame in that. I felt alive. Later that night, as I settled into bed next to Richard, I gazed at him. He was already slipping into slumber, his features gentle with the weight of our shared moments. Hey, I whispered. He stirred. I've been thinking, I said, my heart racing. I want us to go somewhere, anywhere, just the two of us. Perhaps by the coast, or high in the mountains. He opened his eyes slightly, disbelief flickering across his face. Really? I nodded. Yes, I believe we need a change. A fresh start. He grasped my hand, his touch igniting a spark of warmth. I'd like that, he murmured. The silence hung heavy as we avoided the shadow of Jack. I never revealed to Richard how near we were to crossing a boundary, and perhaps I never will. That moment transcended infidelity. It was a journey of rediscovery. That rediscovery pulled me back to myself and to this marriage in an unexpected way. The next morning, I stumbled upon the small note Jack had left behind, unread until now. I can't pinpoint the reason. Perhaps it was fear of the words it held. There it remained, hidden in the side drawer of the hall table, wedged between a tattered pile of receipts and a lone spare key. It said, "Thank you for bringing back memories of who I once was and who I could still be. Cherish your beautiful life. Jack." I clutched the note tightly, my fingers grazing its worn edges. A smile crept onto my face inexplicably. In those fleeting days, I had uncovered something profound. Not a man, not a romance, but a piece of my soul I had overlooked for too long. In rediscovering it, I returned to my life transformed, with gentler eyes and a heart brimming with fullness. Perhaps we are granted only a handful of those moments in our lives, those that awaken us, that alter our perception of the world. They come softly, like an old friend at your door, leaving a weight that lingers long after they depart.